Well, that was the recent outcome of a meeting held by the Nigerian Medical Association. And you saw right there Professor Innocent Uja, who is the president of the association, talking about some of their resolutions from that meeting. He joins us now via Zoom from Benue State. Prof, you're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and I'm delighted to be here.
Well, a lot of concerns which you raised in that particular resolution, which you read out to the hearing of Nigerians, of course. But we do know that before now, there was a meeting at the presidential villa, which was supposed to be addressing the issue of brain drain in the medical sector. You were a part of that meeting. What was the outcome of that meeting, and what steps have been taken in the direction to try and solve the problem?
Well, thank you very much. The issue of brain drain has been a serious problem to us as medical practitioners, as Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians are going out of the country for very many good reasons. The reality is that we didn't have any meeting in the villa. What we had was a courtesy visit to Mr. President, during which we emphasized the issue of brain drain affecting the health sector in Nigeria. And we actually pleaded with him to ensure that this brain drain is reversed. Otherwise, Nigeria will be worse for it. He listened to us and he agreed with us. Now, I'm not sure what has happened since then, but we believe that he needs to quickly direct the appropriate agencies and ministries to ensure that we have a roundtable meeting to be able to find out what could be done. I think we largely know many of the reasons. Many of the reasons are poor work environment, insecurity, poor remuneration, and poor equipment to work with. I think these are some of the issues. And of course, what we call the pull factor. The pull factor is the fact that the remuneration and the environment in other countries like Europe and America and Saudi Arabia is far, far, far better than Nigeria. And like I had said before, and I say again, that no doctor would want his children to be out of school children. We want to have the best for our children. As a matter of fact, we believe, and any good parents will want to have his children grow up better than him or her. And we believe that the appropriate thing to do is to have a conducive environment to work. As you know, we've lost over 20 of our doctors to COVID-19. Many of our doctors are abducted and kidnapped. And once there is insecurity in the land, as it is, because it becomes very difficult for people to stay. The worst thing, like we've said before, previously in the 90s, when there was brain drain, those who are living were consultants and professors in medicine. Unfortunately now, as our younger ones, the house officers finish their job, their house job, and probably finish their NYSC, they are outbound. And some of them don't even wait to do house job again because they will say bye-bye to Nigeria. Now, what we do? Can we allow this to continue on end? I think the best thing to do is for us to find solutions to this hydra-headed monster. It's not too difficult to reverse, but we need commitment, we need focus, and we need clear understanding. The need to ensure that the few that we train stay back to render service to our people. As you know, over 50% of our doctors are outside of the country. We estimate that about 80,000 Nigerians have been trained as doctors, but only about 40,000 that are at home. And this is surely not enough, not adequate. Even where they are going to, their services are better than our own. It is also true that they have more numbers of doctors than we have. And therefore, apart from the pull factor, probably many of our people would have stayed behind. So the long and short is that, one, we need conducive environment to work with, equipment, good remuneration, People must be paid. You imagine that we've been discussing the issue of hazard allowance, which had been 5,000 naira a month for as long as you remember. And we started this discussion in April. Up to today, we have not finalized the issue of hazard allowance. And that is just hazard allowance. It's also true that the medical lecturers are even having a lot of problems with their payment. They find that if you are an honorary consultant in the hospital, you earn double what they have, the same or even more senior consultant will earn if it's a university lecturer. So many of them are disenchanted. Many of them do not even want to teach anymore. Very soon we'll lose medical lecturers because they believe, and I agree with them, that they need to be paid commensurate to their status and knowledge and experience. I think that we have so many problems in the health sector, and we should not make it worse than what we have.
Indeed, Prof. I mean, when you think about the fact that the singular issue of hazard allowance, the fact that we have been on that matter since April, as you rightly pointed out, and we've still not been able to resolve it, despite the many strikes that our young doctors have embarked upon. You know, it does say a lot to how we're handling issues in the medical sector. But I want to go again. You say it was a visit that you had with the president. I do remember that there was a meeting that happened. Was it in the banquet hall or so of the villa, where it was saying that there was some attempt to try and find a solution to brain drain. I do remember that event because it was covered by our correspondent who covers the villa. And I do remember that I saw your face in that particular meeting. It seemed like it had now gotten to something that the federal government was taking a little more seriously. I do not know if that was a part of the visit which you had with the president, but we do remember that that was reported in the media. Can you shed a little more light on it?
Well, if there was a meeting like that, I would have forgotten, because it means that nothing has happened. But what I remembered very vividly is when we visited Mr. President, and one of the very serious items we presented was the issue of brain drain. And we believe that he took us very seriously, and was delighted that we were able to stay back and also look at the health sector in Nigeria. So if there was
how seriously would you say that you were Prof, sorry to interrupt you, but how seriously would you say that you were taken? Because let's not forget, with the Minister of Labor, even though we haven't been able to get some concrete stance from on this particular issue from the Ministry of Health, from the Ministry of Labor, which has had to intervene in several crises before now, I haven't raised this question with the minister. He was of the opinion that let them leave. At some point, they will come back. They will always produce more doctors. That was the stance maybe a few years back. We do not know if it has changed, especially when we now see that the examinations or the recruitment agencies who are recruiting for other countries from our country seems to have become more aggressive. They're taking more people, even people that ordinarily you would not have thought would show up at those recruitment exercises are showing up. But have we seen a different attitude from the federal government, different from what was expressed initially by the Minister of Labor, saying, let the doctors go, we will always recruit more people, or we will always be able to train more people? Has there been a change of attitude or stance from that?
Well, thank you very much. What the Honorable Minister said, I think he's alone on that. No other person agreed with him. And I think that it's also self-peddling on that issue, because there's no way he could just say the doctor should leave or that we have enough doctors. Initially, I thought it was misquoted. But it will appear that it's not, because many other people, we visited one of our past presidents of this country, and he was teasing us to say that the Honorable Minister of Labor said that we had enough doctors, because at the time we were appealing to him so that there should be intervention to stem the tide of this brain drain. And he jokingly told us that after our Minister of Labor said that we had enough doctors. We felt that that was not appropriate, and looking at all the facts that are on ground. He is alone in this regard. The other thing that I thought probably would have helped to address this is the health sector reform committee, which was put by Mr. President. And we are waiting for that committee to be inaugurated so that we will put our facts on the table, and then we can see how far we'll go with that, because we believe that that is an avenue to be able to, dissect the issues as they may be, so that our health can come back to normal again. Unless that is done, I have not
Prof,
seen
will it
any
be
other
right to say,
thing.
sorry to interrupt you, Prof, once more. Will it be right to say that there is fire on the mountain in the healthcare sector and really no one is running to put it out? Will it be right to give that particular sort of image?
Well, as a scientist, I will have to have evidence. I have not seen fire yet, but things are not, all is not well with us in the health sector. And that is why the Nigerian doctors cry out at any slightest opportunity, because we are the custodians of the health of Nigerians. And if we are the custodians, then we will respond appropriately to issues, both negatively and positively. You recall that we even appreciated the president for his unflinching support to end the crisis, the NAD strike in the health sector.
You do not categorize, sorry, Prof, you do not categorize the brain drain in the sector. The fact that you are even saying that our teachers, our medical lecturers might soon begin to leave as well. The fact that we're losing consultants, the fact that we're losing young people in the healthcare sector who have not even done their housemanship and now begin to go outside of this country. You don't think that's a fire?
Well, no, I didn't say that those who have not done their house job. I say after house job, they will not do the NYSC and they will go. Obviously, that is why we are crying out that we need intervention. We need urgent intervention to stem the tides. There is no doubt that many more Nigerians, Nigerian doctors, not just doctors, I believe even the nurses are leaving once they have the opportunity. But like we have always said, Nigerian doctors are very well trained, and people are looking for them. Unfortunately, it will appear to me and to many of us that we are not appreciated in this country. Otherwise, how can a lecturer in the university be receiving half of the amount of money his colleague, who probably is not as experienced or in terms of exposure and in terms of input, to be earning more than half of what is earning? It's not fair. And I know that the MD that's the Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, is interfacing with the Nigerian Income, Salaries and Wages Commission in this regard. We believe that something good should come out of that, because there has been some positive responses from the chairman and his members. But the earlier they do that, the better. Because in all honesty, the statistics shows that many Nigerian lecturers would stop giving lectures to students. They will even prefer to be honorary
Prof, I can
consultants.
understand your reluctance. Sorry to interrupt you once again, Prof. But I can understand your reluctance to want to use the term fire. I mean, you're not a fireman. But would you categorize it a national emergency? At least that term you are familiar with. Would you say that all that you have described right now, bedeviling the health sector, the fact that you're also asking for help, crying out for help, according to you, would you say that what you're crying about can be termed an emergency in the health sector?
Well, yeah, I think that is better for me, because when you say fire, I have not seen fire, so it is difficult to say there's fire on the mountain. But the truth of the matter is that it's a national emergency. It's an understatement. We have cried and cried over this several times, previously and now. And in fact, we need the urgent intervention by Mr. President, because the situation, if not addressed, we will find out that things will get worse and worse and worse. And Nigerians are leaving. we know that there is,
it is
you know,
interesting that you're
international.
seeking, Prof, just 1 minute. It is interesting that you're seeking the intervention of the president. You have not mentioned the minister at all. Is it that it is beyond his level, or is it that from what you've seen, he's not interested?
Well, probably it's beyond his level because we recall that I mean, when we went to meet with the president, we paid a courtesy visit on him. One issue that we brought out clearly was the issue of brain drain. And if that had been sorted out in the ministry, then the president need to hear about that. But it did not be resolved, and we do not know the way out. Like I said, the issue of the health sector reform committee that was put in place, if it had been inaugurated, then we know that we'll put our cards on the table, and then we'll discuss, dissect issues, and see how best we will be able to stem the tide and improve the care and the work environment in Nigeria, and also improve the quality of care of our patients, for which we are trained.
It is very worrisome that I mean, have you tried any engagement at the level of the ministry? I do not know what has happened at that level, but it does speak volumes that you're seeking presidential intervention in this matter.
Well, I think it's not out of place to run to Mr. President, to discuss, to intervene. We had series of meetings with the Labor Minister, where the Minister of Health was there. And each time we meet, we put all these things on the table for discussion. But unfortunately, it appears that nothing has changed, because really nothing has really changed. If anything, things get worse. I mean, what I'm saying is clearly an understatement. If you are in the health sector and know what is happening, it is not just correct, it's not good. We need to ensure that we redeem our image in the health sector. If we have to achieve universal health care coverage, if we have to move towards the sustainable development goal, then we must change the dancing tune. It's very, very important. The drum beat must change, and our dancing tune should change. Otherwise,
what needs to be done right now? What needs to be done? You said this is a national emergency. Even if the president is going to act, he's going to act through parastatals and ministries. What do you think needs to be done as a matter of urgency to at least stop the bleeding first?
Well, we have said several times, the first thing we've been talking about is to have a roundtable discussion in the ministries and other agencies that are relevant, so that we all are on one page. Because if I say this is good, what is needed to be done? I've told you some of the problems. The work environment is hostile. The insecurity in this country beyond the Ministry of Health. The equipment that we have are dilapidated, and the remuneration of doctors and other health workers is poor. And I'm saying, for instance, the issue of hazard allowance. Why should the discussion on hazard allowance take us how many months? Up to about 6, 7, 8 months. I think that is not correct. We should be able to round this up quickly so that the implementation can start. And there are many other, I've talked about medical consultants, medical and data consultants who are interfacing with the National Income and Salaries Commissions. We also have the medical lecturers in the universities, and they are actually agitating. In fact, I think they had a meeting about, I think they had a meeting either Saturday or Sunday, and I'm still waiting to hear from them. But the reality is that we need to intervene. How to do it? We must come to a round table to discuss it, because it is enormous. The problems are enormous, and we need to solve this. We cannot run away from this if we have to look after our patients and Nigerians.
Well, Prof, we have to thank you for your time this morning. We sincerely hope that those who are who you're speaking to this morning would hear your voice and would see that this is truly an emergency and that the lives of 200 million Nigerians are at stake here. We have to thank you for your time. Professor Innocent Uja is the president of the Nigerian Medical Association, and he's been speaking to us via Zoom from Otukpo in Benue State. Well, let's take some mails now. We believe that we have a few of them. Ayo, over to you.
We do. Quite an interesting conversation you had with the president of the NMA there. Let's hope, as you said, someone is listening. Louis Afolabi is talking about finding lasting solutions to insecurity. I strongly believe that the way out of our present war against insurgents is to focus on cutting off the manpower and weaponry supply to the insurgents. How can you allow bandits or terrorists unrestricted access to supply of men, materials, and food, and at the same time expect the insurgency to end? That's almost impossible. Okay, well, this next one is from Famous Timilein, sent us an email, says about the same issue. Recruiting and commissioning of officers and men depends greatly on the ability or effort towards achieving a particular goal. There's no amount that is too much to spend on security. We need to secure our country in order to attract foreign investors so as to boost the exchange rate for the naira. And Isholaya Kini on the same matter says, the issue of insecurity is fundamentally that of absence of the political will to promptly respond to the problem. Sincerely, I think we need a symposium on political will. Maybe we need to understand it. Olagunju Oladile says about the same issue, ignoring a problem makes the problem grow. We're dealing with ineffective public institutions. The paradox of tolerance, if a society is tolerant without limit, its ability to be tolerant is eventually seized or destroyed by the intolerant. On the removal of General Raw, Henry Okeke says, inasmuch as leadership is key, changing coaches does not automatically take care of welfare and dilapidated sports facilities nationwide. What we need is the commitment of public and private sector. And Isioma on the same issue says, why do we keep getting it wrong? What country or club fires a coach a few months or weeks to qualifications for World Cup, African Nations Cup, or major events? Who does that? Nigeria keeps courting chaos, not taking responsibility for failure of management, funding of sports, owing monies to technical crews and players, yet expect miracles from the players. The problem is not with the coach. If indeed you have a problem with the coach, of course, all of that continues. Well, I guess that's the way that's where we leave it this morning for the program Sunrise Daily. It's Monday morning, and we ask that you have a wonderful day and a productive week. I'm Ayo Makinde.
And hopefully you won't have to have a symposium on political will to get that done. Well, thank you for watching this morning. I'm Maokbe Ogun Yusuf.